Hi there everyone and welcome back to my Consultant Explorer channel. I'm Charlie and I'm here to help you explore the early career years of technology consulting, how to be successful at it and how to make the most of the opportunities that it can open up for you. I spent 8.5 years at Accenture building the most incredible launchpad for my own career, and now I get to choose what I work on whenever and wherever I want to in the world. And that's the kind of freedom I can help you find in your journey, which starts just as mine did in technology consulting. Today I'm lucky enough to be recording from an incredible viewpoint in Switzerland, in Zurich, overlooking the mountains. So one of the things that was a complete mystery to me when I was a junior consultant was what all these people around me on my project team were actually responsible for. When you are a junior consultant, you basically work on what you're responsible for, and you don't necessarily have the opportunity every day to talk to all those people around you and find out what they're doing. But it's a really important part of professional development to understand what it is that everyone around you is doing, because knowing that gives you not only a sense of how your work fits into that broader context and how you can do an even better job of it, but it also gives you a sense of how you might be able to grow your own responsibility outside of your current silo. In this video, I'm going to give you a sense of what each of those different roles are really responsible for. And I'm going to use an example of a project that is implementing a customer service chatbot. If you want more detail on any one of those specific roles, then I have other videos for that, because in this video, I'm going to stay shallow and go broad, so that overall, after watching this, you're going to feel much more comfortable with how a project team ties together all these different responsibilities to achieve the overall project objective. So these are the kind of project roles that we're going to cover today. And I've put timing markers in the description below if you want to zoom to any one particular role first. But I do recommend that you listen to the video just as it is, because what I've done is I've built it as a story so that each role builds on the next and it will all hopefully tie together for you at the end. Okay, so our client has asked us to run a project which implements a customer service chatbot that automates the responses to queries from customers that today are coming in via email and phone to customer service teams. This chatbot overall is going to be much better for both the customer and the client. Customers will be able to get answers to queries all around the clock, so it doesn't matter if they're asking late at night or if the team is based in a different time zone. It's also going to be able to handle surge times for queries because of its scalability, and ultimately, overall, it will be less costly for the client to run into the long term. So the first thing the project team needs to do is analyse all of the different queries that customers have sent in over the last few years to get a real sense of which queries it will make most sense to automate and in which order. The order that the queries will be automated in will depend on volume of the query type, and also complexity to actually automate it, and also the cost involved in automating that query. Data analysts generally use analysis and visualization tools that typically don't require code, but that do support really sophisticated data analysis. For example, things like Power BI, Alteryx, and Tableau. They wrangle the data and they spot patterns, and then they interpret those patterns within the context of the business that they know. So if data analysts are going to choose which queries are going to be automated and also in which priority order, they need to be looking at information relevant to that task. So for example, they might be looking at cost and complexity information, but cost and complexity information isn't always necessarily readily available. It might be that you need to look at other raw data points to derive that information, raw data such as time to resolve or rate of resolution for particular query types. And even, to be honest, the list of query types themselves, often you find that queries are listed slightly differently, but they actually relate to the same thing. So some sort of preparation needs to be done to that data so that the data analysts can get going on their job. This is where data scientists come in. Data scientists use known statistical models to work with data where there is a level of uncertainty in it, and where probability needs to play a part in deciding what the answer is. So data scientists could group together different query types where they believe that there is a high probability that different query types actually relate to the same thing, and ultimately produce a shortened list of query types for the data analyst to use. But the data that data scientists want to use may also not readily be available. It might be in different systems, it might require different extraction processes, it might be in different formats, and it might be updated at different times too. So this is where data engineers save the day. Data engineers create the processes and the paths by which the right data is brought into the right place at the right time and in the right format. This is going to be important on an ongoing basis too, even after the chatbot has gone live for customers, because customers will come in with new queries potentially in the future, and those new queries need to also be continually analysed and prioritised for potential automation. So that's the data side of things. And there are other roles in data too, but those are the roles that I saw the most frequently on the projects that I was on. Now that the queries have been analysed and prioritised for automation, we need to actually look at what that automation is going to look like and what the experience is going to be like for customers and for internal users. Business analysts, or BAs, are, in my experience, one of the most frequently required roles on any project, because they're responsible for determining how to address a customer or a business need through the use of new process and new automation. And they typically capture this information in what's called business requirements or user stories. So in our chatbot scenario, the BAs would be responsible for capturing the journeys that customers will take, and also the journeys that internal people will take. For example, if the chatbot needs to escalate a customer query into a customer support agent because the chatbot doesn't know the answer to the customer's question. The BAs will also, for each of these journeys, figure out any possible thing that might go right or wrong, and exactly how those things should be handled. Now, the BAs will have decided the journeys that will be taken by customers and agents and which goals will be achieved. But they won't have designed the experience that those customers and agents take. That's the job for UX designers and UI designers, who design computer screens and who optimize the journeys for known user behaviors, and who generally make the look and feel of the experience as nice and as seamless as possible within the technological constraints. For example, what does it feel like when you are escalated from the chatbot to an agent because the chatbot can't answer your question? Or what do those chat messages even look like? Or where is that chatbot going to be available for the customer to start a new chat? Now, those technological constraints that I mentioned that the UI and UX designers work within are created by the systems that have been chosen to support this project. Sometimes there are reasons just to keep the existing systems that the client already has, but sometimes there's also justification to bring in new tools entirely to support the capability required. These decisions are made by new types of roles, like enterprise architects and solution architects. Enterprise and solution architects also look at designing the integrations between different systems, and by integration I mean the passing of data between different systems. For example, the chatbot might need to ask a billing system for a customer's billing information to support the conversation about a billing query. So imagine we now have our chatbot solution fully specced out. We know which queries we're going to automate and in which order. We know which journeys we're going to support for customers and agents and exactly what they're going to look like. And we know which tools are going to support the end-to-end solution, including how those tools are going to talk to each other. Now it's time to actually build the chatbot, and this requires a host of technical resources. Now, usually the BAs have captured the business requirements or user stories from the perspective of a customer or an agent, and so there is a step required to convert that into more technical detail for build teams to pick up and get going. Technical BAs are responsible for converting the business requirements into technical requirements. They consider how it's possible to support those business requirements with the designated technology or technologies, often looking for the least custom way or the way that doesn't include code and instead uses out-of-the-box or standard or configuration type options to achieve the business requirement. They also coordinate with the architecture resources to fully spec out all of the integrations where relevant. So they'll capture all this technical information on technical requirements, which the build team can then pick up and get going. Build, or in other words, developer resources then set to work, configuring the chatbot technologies and writing code if and only if required. Generally, they'll do their work within a test environment, which means it's okay to make mistakes and that they can use trial and error to find the best way to support the requirements if they need to. As they build, they will test their work as they go, and typically this is called unit testing, which ensures that everything they're building is working as intended. Further testing also takes place by more specialised test resources. Tests are run to ensure that the chatbot functionality is working as expected. This is called functional testing. Tests are also run to ensure that the chatbot is talking to the systems it needs to, like that billing system. This is called systems integration testing or end-to-end testing. And finally, tests are run by actual potential users of the tool, like agents and even potentially some friendly customers, to ensure that those journeys are working and supported as expected too. This is called user acceptance testing. So at this point, our customer service chatbot is built. It's a working solution for the highest priority customer queries online, And it includes all the relevant information, even through integration, to support meaningful conversations with customers and resolve their queries. Now it's time to take that chatbot live. And this process typically involves a number of other resources. For example, a release or deployment manager, a project manager, and client approval resources. A release or deployment manager ensures that the right processes are followed when shifting technical functionality from test environments to the live environment. A project manager involves all the right people throughout that process, and client approval resources, once they're given sufficient evidence that the technology is ready, give their approval to make that technology live. Another super important team at this point is change management. Up until this point, they've been working really hard on two key things. The first one is running communications across the client organisation to bring everyone up to speed and ensure that all the right people are bought into this project and the value of it. Number two, training up the relevant people so that when this technology is ready, they can use it and get benefit from it. Those people in this instance would be the agents that are going to take escalations that the chatbot can't answer itself. Everything that this change team has been working on has been leading up to this go live. And now that the chatbot has actually gone live, the change team is on point for ensuring that users are using it as intended and that they're getting the most benefit from it. They'll be monitoring adoption and usage, and they'll be identifying any areas of feedback that can be sent back into the development teams to help improve the chatbot into the future. Finally, there are also a number of other roles that are typically held by client stakeholders because they involve taking strategic decisions about what that client business wants and needs. For example, a product manager owns the vision and the overall impacts of this new technology for the business, like how releasing a chatbot might change the digital PR for the company. Also, one or more product owners might be in place, and these roles own the usefulness of the product for the business. For example, ensuring that the right queries are escalated. So at this point, we've released our chatbot into the world, customers are using it, we have a process in place that is capturing any feedback to continuously improve that chatbot. We have another process in place that is monitoring new queries and determining whether we need to build more automation in the future. We have a client whose employees are all fully on board and happy with the change. And we, as a consulting team, also have happy customers, i.e. our clients. There are plenty more roles that I haven't even mentioned today that might be involved in a project like this, but I've prioritised my focus today based on the frequency with which I saw these roles in the projects that I was involved with. We've seen how the project goes from planning and analysis to experience design, to build, test and deploy, and finally to monitoring. I hope that this has given you a really handy structure for you to use going forwards and to accelerate your own professional development, because it will help you understand much more all the time of what's going on around you. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, then do click the like button. And if you'd like to see what I post next, then definitely subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions, then feel free to use the comments below and I'll do my best to answer absolutely everything. And in the meantime, thank you so much for listening. I wish you a great day and all the best with your exploring.